Good afternoon. It's Thursday, May 2nd, and this is the Townsend Finance Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 4:08 p.m. As we have remote members, I would like a roll call attendance, please.
Gerald Mazekas, yes, here.
Andrea Wood here.
Sam Grant here.
Don Hayes present. With that, there's 4. We have a quorum, so we can continue. Item 1.3 on the agenda. This meeting is being recorded. It will be played back on Channel 9 and available on YouTube in the future. Okay, item 4, additions or deletions. At this point, I have no additions or deletions. We'll go through everything on the agenda as shown. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I should be sharing, and we should see the agenda just to make sure those on the phone and can see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The first item, which I have continued to leave, is the reserve fund transfer request. We're just touching base on that. We have 3 on hold at this point, 2 for facilities and 1 for Board of Selectmen. The one that was the other day for the deductible for the insurance. So those continue to be on hold. We continue to watch them. At this point, the Board of Selectmen or Town Administrator have indicated that it's not, it's on the priority list to pay, but it's not urgent before our next meeting that we need to process it for the payment. I was concerned that if we held it for any length of time, that it might go into a different category and go past due. So if it is getting near past due, we'll bring it up again.
Oh, Mark's gonna go online, he's gonna come in.
Okay. Thank you. The next is, and it says review schedule for annual special town meeting warrants. It's actually reviewing the annual and special town meeting warrant articles and voting our recommendations. Apologize for this. I'm going to jump. I don't have them open right now. Get to the town website and get to and I'm jumping to the special town meeting warrant because the typical activity is we open annual town meeting and then we make a motion to jump to the special town meeting articles. With that, and we generally vote on the articles with financial impact. So Article 1 is just to see if any reports from any boards, committees, or commissions will be heard. So there's no action required there. The next Article 2, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $12,457 for the purpose of paying unbudgeted increase in the general liability insurance line. So with that, it comes down to we do the best we can to get an actual quote in before town meeting. When it didn't happen, this is the amount of the increase that was not estimated at the time the budget was passed last year. And rather than overstate an amount, we understated the amount in there, because if we did overstate the amount and go, that money would have to wait until free cash certification very late in this year before we would be able to use those funds. This seems to be the right action to take and underfund it a little bit and come in with the article to continue and pay the rest of the line.
So would you need a motion?
Yeah, we would need a motion that we would recommend Article 2.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 2.
I'll second it.
Okay. And with that, is there any additional discussion or questions for this article?
I have one that
Yeah.
it just a reminder that using free cash to fund any part of an ongoing expense is a real problem. And that's what we're doing here.
It is. And Chaz had come in with numbers in the last meeting. And those numbers were, and this is free cash available. So it was FY 23's free cash, which was available in FY 24. And the free cash was at $379,327. And after the articles, I believe it was $139,000 of free cash remaining. We can try to keep tabs on that number and see who we can come out and vote it. So yes, it's kind of because one of the other pieces always with free cash is using it to pay the deficit line for snow and ice. So we do need to be very cautious with it because once we use that up, we have to wait until December before that certification again. And if we needed to, we'd have articles in a special town meeting in fall or winter.
Yes, but again, if we end up funding ongoing expenses with one-time occurring funds, we're going to end up bankrupt.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
I'm just frightened at the whole position we've got ourselves into.
Right. Yeah. No, it is. It's a concern of how we continue with the ongoing. We did have at the last meeting we brought to Chaz the plan for looking at 5 years out, which is going to take a look at the say free cash year over year, but the tax levy and expected revenues to make sure that we're not trying to balance the budget and come up and balance your budget year to year. That's something we've done for the last 4 years is we prepare a budget, do the articles and try to limp through to the next. We're trying to force a bigger picture look so that we can see that what the future looks like as we do these things. So I think and yeah, it does say or other available funds. So free cash versus taking a look at maybe a municipal transfer could do it if that's available funds. So there is some available. I don't have the most recent BBA, but I know there's a few lines that I would anticipate, such as the health insurance line, the line that we had for the MARC bus. Those funds will be available to help us with.
Hey,
With
Don,
some-
it's Mark. I just want to let you know I'm on.
Okay,
And I
thank you.
apologize for coming in so late.
Not a problem. We had a late start, so we were late.
Do we have a quorum now, or did we?
We had a quorum,
Okay, good.
and
Okay.
we're going over the warrant articles, and we're on Article 2.
Okay.
Just covering it, the discussion is about using free cash versus other funds to support this. So, we need to take a look at it and see if they can identify where the funds are, because this is either, it does say from free cash or other available funds, so we would like to see which of the two options they're planning to do.
Do you want me to take that back to really?
Got it.
No, I think, I think we can keep tabs on it
Okay,
and then go back and try to get
okay.
get answers on
Mhm.
exactly where is it gonna come from? Because of the concern. I mean, I would love to take some of that free cash and put it into stabilization,
Mhm.
but we don't have a warrant article for that. So we do, that's something that we need to watch, and our budget is going up, and we haven't added anything into stabilization
Right.
for some time, so we need to watch our percentages and make sure stabilization is there and flush when we need it, if we need it. Okay, so Andrea noted, and so we'll keep tabs on each of the lines and go back and see if we can identify exactly where the funds are gonna come from, because the statement's either or. And
And
our
keeping-
preference,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
keeping a track of it will help us prepare and understand the auditor's report as well when it comes in.
right. Okay, so that's, I'm just keeping notes on a separate piece of paper here so that I'm not jumping back and forth on the screen. Okay, are you good with the recording and then going back? So we have the motion to recommend that, and again, it's a bill and we owe it, so we have to pay it. Our preference is from other funds in accounts that would have balances so that we don't have to use free cash. So, and maybe that's what we can put into the recommendation. The recommendation says that we use other available funds, not free cash.
That sounds good for me.
I like that.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay, so I recommend, and again, it may come down that we do that. So, okay, so Article 2 is gonna be do we need to amend so I think the motion is, I believe, as is with motion to recommend, but our little description under it will include that it is our preference, and we recommend that we find other funds, not free cash, for this. So the article would be to recommend with our description of where it comes from.
Agreed.
Okay, so we had the motion by Jerry and a second by Andrea.
I didn't hear the motion, but I'm aware of it. Can I still vote?
You can. The motion is that we recommend that we recommend the amount to be paid to the general insurance
Got it.
bill for this. So if you're good with that motion,
I am.
we are voting on recommending Article 2 at this point. So and I'll throw it one more time. Any additional questions? or be answered? With none being heard, roll call vote.
Cheryl Bezikas, yes?
Andrea wouldn't know.
Oh,
Mhm.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
I'm
Right.
only against it as it stands. I
Mhm.
think it's a bad precedent. I think we have no choice,
Mhm.
but I
Right.
still think it's not something I can support it being done this way.
That's fair enough. And I will vote.
I
sorry.
agree with Andrea, but at the same time, we do have to pay it.
All right.
Food bill.
It's a bill, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and just to
We
get
do
it,
this many times.
so, and,
So at least we can stipulate we don't necessarily want free cash to be used.
right,
Yes.
yeah. Yep. And so, to get my vote recorded and heard, Don Hayes, yes. It's kind of like, okay. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds the amount of $5,000 for the purpose of funding a housing protocol for the Board of Health in case of residential condemnation, or take any other action thereto. So this one, we didn't discuss it, but this one sounds like what they're doing. If Board of Health comes in and condemns a house, they're setting up a fund that they can pay for housing for short term for people that may be displaced.
Is this a new mandate by the state? Is this past experience? What is this?
This is something new, right?
This would be something new. It was not in their, it's not in their budget. So this is setting, and again, the reason it's not in the budget, if they put this line in the budget, it would need to be budgeted and rebudgeted every year. And if they didn't use it, the $5,000 wouldn't carry over.
Right.
The idea is that they put $5,000 into an account, and then at the end of the year, they would review it and see if they used it. If they didn't use it, there's still 5,000. It carries over without needing to be waiting for the free cash process to occur.
I realize that this would be a lovely thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that it's really the town's responsibility to do that. Taking on that kind of thing that's over and beyond what a small town could afford. What if we had an earthquake or something?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't afford to maybe house the people who are damaged.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure this is our responsibility. Like I said, I think it's a very nice thing, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Again, I wonder what brought this on. Is it past experience? That we what's this all about?
Right, yeah, and
Because of the fire they had a few years ago?
Who knows?
that one to me is a little different. That's not a, that was a building that was no longer habitable.
Right,
It's
yeah,
kind of like
okay.
in your head. I think this is, if the Board of Health comes in and does an inspection and condemns a property, that some emergency short-term housing needs, is they're looking to provide it.
And we have had that scenario in the past.
So,
What did we do in the past?
We left them there because they wouldn't leave.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
or they pitch a trailer in the parking lot here.
It cost $5,000 for that. Come on.
No, it's kind of, no,
I know.
I make light of it, but we are there. I mean, this is, again, it's a nicety to have. They're probably looking at, free cash. We are, and it's not a recurring, this money, it's probably more about the free cash and using it as free cash rather than operating budget. We're not adding to the operating budget at this point. It's a warrant article, that would take free cash one-time expense to a one-time account. However, it is gonna be an ongoing look year over year to look at this account and see if there's been use of it, and then there'd be a warrant article to replenish the funds in there. So the 5,000 is a starting point, and then it looks like, to me, it looks like an annual review to see if more money would be needed in that account.
Oh, goodness.
I just, again, $5,000 isn't a lot of money, especially for an account. But at the same time, if we have a couple accounts like this that come up to 25 grand, we've got a deficit happening, and
Right, and again, I think that's why they're trying to draw it from the free cash.
yeah, I say we put it in the next, they can put it in the next budget or whatever. That's just my opinion.
And let the town vote on it on a line, right? Well, again, they're voting on it, the town's voting on it here.
Right, I mean, that's my recommend. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so,
wouldn't. That's just my opinion.
well, and that's,
We take a vote.
yeah, and do we want to make a motion to either recommend or not recommend Article 3? And I hear silence, so do we, is there a motion to not recommend Article 3 coming forward?
I think we're just so short on money this year that I don't think we can afford it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then,
I guess I'll make the motion that we recommend that we make no recommendation.
take no action on the article?
All right, let
I'll
them
make
just-
that recommendation.
Okay, so,
I'll second it.
okay, so the motion is to, recommend no action taken on this article. Okay, and we had a second, just capturing. Okay, any further discussion or questions?
On here.
No,
Okay, then being heard, a roll call vote, and so we're voting, a yay vote will say that we make no recommendation for this article.
I'll make no, a yea vote for no recommendation on this
Correct.
article.
Okay. I just wanted to make it clear what we were, which way it was going.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Okay, so Gary, you're a yes, for no action.
right.
Okay,
But can I ask, are we recommending taking no action, or recommending we're not recommending?
Right.
we're recommending that no action be taken.
It's time to make some-
Let the town make up their mind on this one. And in the description, we will say that we are hesitant to take additional funds from free cash at this
Yeah.
time.
Okay. Satisfactory. Thank you.
Okay, so continuing on the vote, then Sam?
I vote for take no action, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. Just making my note that we are Okay. Um, Not tired, yeah, not tired funds, okay. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $22,000 for the purpose of supplementing the town clerk's election budget, given the potential for increased elections in the current and upcoming fiscal years. Or
Hey,
taking
Don,
the-
could you just scroll the screen up so we at home could see it?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
I know what it says, but I just want to try to keep track. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I forgot it, and we gave the articles out last meeting, but, yeah, so Article 4 is, so the town budget, the FY 25 budget, and I'm just gonna flip to town clerk and elections.
What number is that?
It's line 137, elections.
Okay.
So when we look at, and I apologize that I didn't bring the titles, FY 25 is the last column with the highlighted.
Mhm.
And so when we look at FY,
Well, we already know that there's gonna be an extra.
there's going to be several elections coming up, and so, and this may be an old one. They may have dropped this number down. It's showing $15,000 for the wages. The rest of it, and the cost of it, does remain the same.
So is it 22?
I'd say it's 22, yes, yeah.
And that gets us through this year, and any other
Yep.
election after that time would be on next year's,
Right.
Well, okay, so,
if I'm right.
yeah, okay, so let me bring up a file that I was messing around with a little bit. You notice I mess around with a lot of files and a lot of information here and there? Let's see.
Well, I don't think we have much choice on that. I mean,
Well, see, that's the thing, it's a warrant article to, if it's not in the warrant article and approved there, it has to be in the operating budget,
right.
because
So
we
they
have
took
to
it
have-
out of, so they took it out of her budget
they took it out of
and
the
they put it
operating
on a
budget,
line.
and they put it on a line,
So
on
they-
a separate account that leaves the money there, allocates $22,000 this year,
Right,
and as it's used, each year, then you have to look at the elections line and this line in the budget and see if more needs to be done. And this is why I mentioned maybe it makes sense to do a revolving account. Because when we use mail-in voting and when we
right.
have early
It's very
voting,
expensive. right?
it's expensive, but it's reimbursed by the state of
State, yeah.
Massachusetts. So if we're doing them every other year, which is what it is
Right.
between state elections and federal elections, if you get reimbursed by the state and make it a revolving account, we put some money in there to start, and that money will come in and go into that account, into the revolving account and be there.
So is that what we're recommending, to create a revolving account? Can we do that?
I don't know if we can do that. It's kind of like revolving accounts are on the annual election.
Oh.
This one, we might recommend here, and next year, in FY 26, go to a revolving account, and then take the money from here to fund the revolving account.
So what's this money gonna come out of?
This money is scheduled to come out of free cash or other available funds at this point. And so this one can't fail. It's kind of like, if this gets voted down, then we have, and we can't go up in the
Right.
budget on town meeting.
No, you can only go down.
Then we can only go down there. So the idea is you'll have to bring it back on a special, another special warrant. This has to pass in order to be able to fund and do the elections for next year.
Well, the other thing too is as the state goes on, it seems like every year they add something new that has to be done
Mhm.
regarding elections.
And
So
schools.
it would seem to me that that would be this would be a nice cushion.
It is a nice cushion for her, but we have to make sure that as part of it, we are definitely reviewing it year over year,
Yeah.
to make sure that there's money in there, so it's kind of, sorry, earlier today. Calculating elections budgeting. So, let me blow it up just a little bit for here. So what I did is I took FY '24 because the presidential primary was in FY '24. In FY '25, we're going to have a state primary. So I put the types of elections that I see us having over here on the left, and then I put just a number for now in there. And so I said the state primary, we're going to have, and I'll explain numbering after. Then we're going to have a presidential election in November. We're going to have the annual town vote next April. And then we're going to have an annual town meeting and at least one special town meeting going forward. And so, and then in FY '26, we don't have state primaries. We don't have presidential or federal elections. And so the only thing we have, it's a smaller number. We have our annual town vote, annual town meeting, and special town meeting. So that's the down year. Then we get to FY '27, we're going to have state primaries and state elections, but you don't have, and I'm just going to put a 0 in here because we do have state elections this year. So every 2 years, you either have just state or you have state and federal elections. Sorry, I didn't put them. I tried to do them by dates. It's kind of like, so in the fiscal year. So state primary is in September, and the state election would be November. Special town meetings could be in the fall. Presidential primaries are in March. And then in annual town votes, April. So it's near the end of the year. So I tried to go there, but when we start looking at this, every 2 years, we either have a state or it's state and federal. And I hope I got it right. But that's what I was trying to look at. You know, how it's going to be a cycle of low number of elections, high number of elections year over year. And then in a year when there's presidential, it really goes across 2 fiscal years because the primary is in March, so it's in the prior fiscal year. And so with it's kind of like what had been happening is budgeting was happening and varying. And so like we see in FY '26, looking at it, it would be a very low number. And then the next year it gets higher because there's state primaries and election. So with that, they're trying to level it out and trying to go this way, that we set a base level in the election accounts in the operating budget, and then the fluctuation is handled in this warrant article.
So if this didn't get it voted, there would still be an election budget.
There would be an election budget, but it's,
Oh, I agree with this article. I'm just trying to get it,
no, that's
be sure I have it straight.
Yeah. So what's happening is if we look at FY '25, we're going to have the state primary in September. That's the first one that will occur. Then we'll have the presidential, which ties in with the state election at that point. Then next April, we have the annual town vote. The town vote in April, and then we have the annual town meeting in May. And more than likely, there's a special town meeting somewhere along the line.
Now, when we apply for reimbursement,
Mm-hmm.
would it go to this account or the election budget?
I haven't had the opportunity to check to see with Katie where it goes.
Okay.
It has not been going to this line in prior years. There's another line that's not in the budget that is in the line of accounts that it may have been going to. So
Okay.
if we're setting this up, we want the reimbursement to go into this account.
Yes, I would think that would be best as well.
Yeah, so that's a behind the scenes kind of work with the accountant and make sure that when this money, the reimbursement money comes, it's gonna go into this special town meeting article.
You know, this is just an aside, but during the summer, for the most part, we don't have very much to do. Maybe
Yeah.
we should take some time this summer to familiarize ourselves with all the accounts, not just the ones we commonly use.
Yeah.
Or commonly know about.
What was the problem with leaving it the way it was? Was there a problem with that? We have to
We didn't have the money to fund it.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing, we seem to be reinventing the wheel
Yeah.
right now with this. The idea was to get to a more stable, moving forward.
all right.
This is always gonna be, this is,
Always gonna be going
Always
back and
gonna-
forth. Yeah.
yeah, it's always gonna be going up and down, so you don't have a predictive level of where it is.
So are we recommending that we go to a revolving account? Is that how you want the recommendation read? Or how do you want it read?
No, I think in this case, whether we recommend
The 22,000?
the 22,000, I don't want to recommend a revolving account at this
Okay,
point if we find that it's
so we've
more
taken this,
conducive to a revolving account. To me, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a revolving account. There's some money that comes in and gets
Right.
deposited into account, and then we
so we've taken this out of her budget.
right, so we flattened the budget this year, so this year's number on elections
Okay,
will look like last year's.
all right.
And so the additional for the fall will get covered by this number. And just for clarity, and I want to make sure, before, I should have done this at the beginning of this discussion. Because Jerry and I both work the elections and the polls, we filed, just to be clear, a conflict of interest because we are voting on a budget that will end up putting a stipend in our pockets. There is no direct line that says these people are being paid this much. It's kind of like, it's a single amount for the election line, and the town accountant, based on hours worked, will distribute the money.
It's always best to be on the safe side.
That's right, and that's what we did. We did it. We filed the paperwork. It was signed by John Barrett and Kathy both, and so it has been declared that we will see a little bit of stipend money from voting for these elections. I don't think it should prevent us from voting on the budget lines.
No,
But-
because you publicly declared it, so it's not
Right.
like you're trying to pull off a smoothie behind the sun.
We are not, and as I said, it's not a direct line that says,
Right.
these are employees and they're getting this much money.
So are we recommending that it be taken from free cash, or are we recommending that it be taken from other?
I think at this point,
I think it would qualify for free cash because in this sense, it's a
I
one-time
think
thing.
so.
yeah, so our recommendation would be, in this case, the recommendation could be that we are recommending this article pass with the money coming from free cash.
I'll second that.
Okay, so, or you'll
I'll,
make the motion as stated?
okay, I'll make the motion as stated here.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've had a lot of discussion about that, but I think it, for clarity, it sort of helped, and maybe that'll help people at town meeting. And again, I think there was a informational video recorded Tuesday night to cover these article things. So the motion has been made and seconded. Are there any additional questions or discussions?
Not here.
Okay, then we'll take the vote, and a yes vote will be to recommend this article pass and that it be funded with free cash.
Gerald Bazingas, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. Okay, thank you. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds from the treasury the sum of $5,000 for the purpose of Conservation Commission education, outreach, and training, or take any other action thereto.
Well, this sounds like they just took a line out of the budget and is gonna fund it here rather than the budget so they can lower the amount of the line
Yeah.
item in the budget.
I'm just looking through the budget we have to get to Conservation Commission. My understanding was they originally had a number that was significantly higher than this, minimum double.
What number are they?
That's what I'm looking for.
One of the things that would be crucial, it would seem to me, in understanding this, would be how much they paid, how much they used for education and outreach and training in the past.
They have had none. This current board wants to start outreach for conservation because they feel reaching out and doing training and seminars would help the townspeople understand conservation, and maybe do it. So they were on line 162.
That's very nice, but under the law, I believe the only real conservation thing that they're in charge of is wetland, as is every other town. So why would you outreach to them? They're already responsible.
They're responsible for it, but they want to hold seminars for and invite townspeople to it so that they understand the wetlands rules and they can disseminate and do training to the townspeople.
Oh, okay. Well, and we always have such a good response to that sort of thing, don't we?
We do, and I think that's
No, we don't.
That is it in the next year's budget? Is that going to be part of?
But and again, this gets to, do we want to put a line item like that in the budget that we can't get to free cash until next year? It's and we
No,
don't
I
know how-
agree it's better out of the budget, but I don't know that it's necessary at all.
Right, and I think that those are some of the things that, and maybe we haven't done this kind of thing before, but maybe it's time to do it and have outreach to them that we think it's a good idea, but coordinate with them and be involved with it and get feedback about how many people have attended these. It's kind of like much like the MART bus we did this year. There was some money in there. Luckily, we didn't have to pay it to find out nobody was taking the bus to Pittsburgh to take the train.
Now, I understand for educational materials you might need something, but
Mhm.
why wouldn't this article in a general thing, setting up and contacting other towns, et cetera, or contacting citizens and stuff. Why wouldn't that fall under the human resources person?
Or the community outreach people, you mean?
Right, yes.
And maybe the community outreach person would have more,
Something to do.
yeah, well, something, additional work. You know, I mean, the community outreach is responsible and works with the North NM Cares. They work with Senior Center, and this would be an additional, and they would, and Conservation Commission would have a resource to help try to reach out and work within the community. And it gets more visibility to the community outreach office. I think it's all good, but if we're not just looking to necessarily allocate money, but follow up with them, work with the Conservation Commission, say which seminars are you going to put on what quarter, and how many people attended. You know, we get an attendance record of that and see the value. You know, are people coming in? Is it increasing over time if they have two of them? Is it time of year that more people would attend? You know, those sorts of things. But they're trying to get their word out. And again, maybe it's producing a video and posting it on YouTube, on a YouTube channel for Conservation Commission. There are multiple, and putting together a library that people can look at, you know. Okay, but that's the thing, it is not in their, it's not in their budget now. They had taken that line totally out and moved it here. Their budget year over year is only increased by dues and memberships. I'm sorry, the Conservation Commission training is the only increase. So they're putting money in the budget for conservation training.
But that's for the members of the committee, not
That's
for.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's the members of the committee. So this line had been they had included it in their budget, and it's been brought out of their budget and brought as a separate warrant article to set that up. So, are there any other questions before a motion? Are we ready, or are there more things to be brought up and discussed? None being heard, do we have a motion to either recommend or not recommend this article?
I make a motion to recommend this article.
Okay,
Second.
and we have a second from Jerry. Do we have any additional questions?
So we're gonna try to take this from other available funds.
It is an ongoing expense.
It will be an ongoing expense, so.
So it would come out of free cash center?
Well, it would be ongoing in carrying it forward, but next year, if there's no money in there to add, it would only be whatever was left and unspent.
You know,
So, and I don't know that we're gonna have enough other places other than free cash
Well,
to get it, so.
not terribly in favor of it personally.
So we're taking
You can,
free cash?
I'd say this one is free cash. Again, I just got my low battery notice. And a power pack.
One battery,
Yeah, I guess, kind of.
Make it.
Yeah, I may not make it. I'll be sitting at a separate table. No. We'll see what we can do. Just get it back in, so let me see if I can find an extension cord.
I'm glad you discovered that because I was just busy looking through my stuff. I thought I was the one that had a battery running low.
Well, I'm looking for mine too. That's weird.
Yep, it is, it's kind of, but let me, okay, I think I have the answer. Cable extension. This will go over to channel 9.
Yeah.
That'll teach me to fully charge the battery. Okay, so, we stand, and
Need to
I,
vote on this then?
yeah, so we have the motion to recommend, and it's been seconded by Jerry. Vote your conscience, and so a yes vote on this article says we are going to recommend, and at this point, I'd say free cash. Our recommendation would be free cash over other funds. With that, the voting, please.
Gerald Brazikis, yes.
Andrea would know.
Mark Hussey, no.
And Sam?
Sorry, I said it, but I was muted. No.
Okay, and I would be yes. So, based on that, we don't recommend this. The article was not recommended by Finance Committee.
Right.
Okay. Next, Article 6. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or available funds in the treasury the sum of $1,000 for Historic District Commission training materials and supplies, including signage, or take any other action there too.
I don't think I can make the motion because I'm on that commission.
Okay, yep.
Somebody-
But would you like to speak to the article?
Well, basically, in the article, it tells exactly what we need. And over the last, well, I've only been in town for 13 years, but they've never had a budget. So this is the first time they're asking for one. Apparently, they've been taking it out of their own pockets and paying for everything themselves. So this year, we've decided to ask for $1,000. And it's for education, postage, stationery, materials for articles to go out to realtors, explaining what the historic district is and what it does, but that's about it.
Okay.
Well, then this article should, well, maybe he will say it in the motion. I don't,
Right,
the
yeah.
article tells about the thing, but it's the motion that really counts on the vote. And this should say to establish a budget then.
Oh, okay.
It's instead of, it sounds like it's just an addition to.
Oh, no,
Mhm.
establish.
Yeah.
To establish a budget, right. I still can't make the motion, somebody,
Oh, no. You know what? I'd like to make the motion that we do recommend Article 6. However, we're going to word it.
differently.
And
Um,
if we're establishing a budget, it certainly is an ongoing expense.
Right, yeah, so I guess the question is the expectation that this will continue into, that all $1,000 will be used, or will there be a line established in the selectmen's budget next year
I don't know.
to fund it? Okay.
um, uh, everybody kind of knows how I feel about history. And I guess you might understand that I'm more interested in the kinds of histories they have already been teaching over there in the harbor area. And where they're headed from there is only in an upward direction. But the other side of the coin is, it sounds to me like we are, as a town, have been adding little, shall we say, small baby elephants here and there over the past several decades. And now all of a sudden, everybody's squeezed. The school district is very squeezed and going to go back and squeeze us, right by the throat. So it seems to me like the elephant's trunk is sticking under the door here, and I am very much in favor of any kind of reconstruction or addition for historical purposes of going there. But the other side of the coin is, how much can we afford?
I do want to make it very clear that the Townsend Historic Society and the Townsend Historic District are two different things. The society and the district are two different
Oh.
things.
Yeah, the
Nice to know.
society is not a town entity, or I
No,
mean, a
the
governmental
society-
entity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Whereas the district is part of the town.
And what's a district, what happened, years and years and years ago, we had maybe an over-enthusiastic historic districts commission. And there was all kinds of problems, and they all resigned, and nothing happened with the committee after that for a long time. Then they decided to reestablish it. And somehow, I guess, according to Jerry, they neglected to have a budget because they had a budget before that.
Oh, they did. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what they primarily do, their signage, the historic district's main goal is to establish the history of certain areas of town or buildings within the town. And you have to write up all these reports and everything, submit them to the government, get them established if you want to form a new district. If you just want to take a house, or say like town hall, just for a building, you do the history on it, then you submit it to the state, and you can have it put into another district. You
I don't
have-
think they're not establishing any new districts, so,
oh no, but
no,
eventually they might.
they might.
know.
This
And
is true.
one of the big things is the signage. The law on the books is very specific about what can be and can't be done
That's
with a
correct.
historic district and by a historic district committee. To encourage them to get on with things, so to speak. I think this is a good idea, although, like I said before, this is to establish a budget, and I have that ongoing expense thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of this is I think once we get, some of our materials, we probably wouldn't have to come back for a while. What we did this year, I'll mix the two together for a second, the society and the district. The society used Neshoba Tech to do some of our printing, and it was much more cost effective. And it did get the school involved in the society and what's going on. So that's how we saved some money there, but it's still, it's still costly, whatnot.
Oh, everything costs something. There is no free lunch.
Yeah, no, and now, like they've been pitching in for all the postage and all the stamps and anything they wanted done. So we're just trying to establish a budget.
So I did, and it looks, so I guess if it would either establish a line under Board of Selectmen that would be managed there.
Probably,
Because somebody has to, if there's expenses to be done,
right,
purchase orders have to be put in.
Absolutely.
And with somebody with purchase order,
I'm gonna say it probably would come under the Board of Selectmen.
I was gonna say it's very similar last year, the town properties,
Correct.
added a line last year because everybody, there was always something to do, but nobody budgeted to support it, so it came under Board of Selectmen last year. So yes, this would increase the Board of Selectmen line in FY. I think it would be a separate account and then to be included in the FY 26 Selectmen budget if it's continued, or it may be a lesser amount if the full $1,000 isn't used.
We just come back. Yeah.
It doesn't come back because the way if this is
Oh, I see.
being,
Okay.
if this is being established, the $1,000 stays there and carries forward.
Oh,
So there may
Right.
be a warrant article to replenish
Right.
any used funds to keep it at 1,000 if we find that it's only 250 used year over year, we
right,
might get it to 500 and then just replenish it up to
Right, okay.
500
Right.
at a time. That's the maximum, so not tying up
Mhm.
a lot of money, or just,
Mhm.
and again, from what I saw, is there gonna be a building developed for the historic district area, or is that
No.
the commission? Okay,
No.
that's, okay, then I'll leave that alone. It's kind of like, because I had seen a lot of, there were some things out of the, posted on that I saw on the internet about what the future may look like. But they are working on those buildings now, so sorry, I'm gonna stop myself there because I can go on and sound like there's a lot of work being done down there. So do we have a motion to recommend this article or not recommend this article?
I think I did do that.
I'm sorry, thank you, Mark. So you recommend Article 6? Or? Okay.
Oh,
And-
second.
Okay. Any additional discussion? None being heard, a roll call vote, a yes vote is to have FinCom recommend this to pass at town meeting.
Can I vote or not? No, maybe not. Pardon me.
We have a quorum without, so I'll say
Okay,
abstain.
all right.
Just to keep that clear.
Mhm.
But announce that you're abstaining when,
All right,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So have we called for the vote yet?
We are calling for the vote now.
Okay.
Yes,
Abstaining, please.
okay.
Mark Hussey, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes?
Sam Grant, yes.
John Hayes, yes. So that passes 4-0 with one abstain. Okay. Next article, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds in the treasury a sum of $5,000 for paying workman's compensation and or VFIS injured on duty claims. Okay, so a little bit of background on this
Yeah.
article. last year, we had a municipal, I think it was a municipal transfer request. In 2012, I believe it was, there was an article just like this to establish $5,000 to pay potential claims for injured on duty. I suspect it's fire and police. That because they were injured as part of their on duty, it was felt that the town should cover their co-pays and things like that on their insurance. They do have insurance and they are covered for that, but there's co-pays and other expenses that may be needed outside what insurance covers. So that's what this article is meant to do. It's gonna reestablish, and probably not the same way when you look at the account, usually what happens is the year that it passes on the warrant is one of the items that's in the description, and so it gets very confusing as to exactly what it is, and you have to go back through old town meeting minutes to figure out how it was created. So we can work and request to the accountant, see if there's an account, the short account description and maybe a long account description, so we can see what it is when we look at, again, back to what was recommended at the beginning, look at all accounts. So when we look at all accounts, we can look at it and understand what it is and why it was created and when it was created.
Now, where is this money coming from?
Right now it says free cash or available funds. And again, I don't have the history on the old account, but it seemed like in FY '23 was the last time we used it, and there was still money there from the original 2012 article. So, this is just establishing back to that 2012 amount and starting again. But again, it puts it back in front of us, and year over year we can monitor it and see if money is being used in that account.
Make a motion that we draw the $5,000 from, well, can we take it out of, I'm not sure where, out of funds available, I guess,
Versus free cash.
versus free cash, but I don't know, Andrea, what do you think?
I think it's going to have to be paid, so I would do, as worded, one or the other, preferably not free cash.
Okay, again, this is probably the first time we're making recommendations, one versus the other, so we recommend if available, other funds
Other
before
funds are
using free
available.
cash. So so we can simply leave this to recommend and not recommend, and
Mhm.
leave it in our discussion underneath that our recommendation is to go to other funds rather than free cash.
Okay,
So the preference of where the funds come from is gonna be other and then free cash if we have to.
I'll second that.
Okay. That was Jerry, you made that?
Yeah.
And Mark. Okay, any additional discussion about, or questions about what this article is establishing? Or reestablishing? None being heard, a yes vote will recommend this with our recommendation details, including, that we recommend other funds be the first choice for.
Gerald Bazikis, yes.
Israel Wood, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. It's unanimous. We'll recommend, and our discussion will include that it comes from others first. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $6,000 for the purpose of paying CDL training for highway department staff.
Have we done this in the past?
No, this goes, I think, in relation to the capital plan that has passed with the 2 trucks that are not CDL required drivers.
Right.
So,
Why do we-
so what we want is CDL trained operators, but not
Not have to pay for the license.
have to,
So we want the training and.
Oh, I get it. So they're not going to get a CDL license.
No,
right,
just the training.
just the training.
And then how long is that good for?
That I don't know
Just
from,
curious. It's a lot of money, but you know, if it's training that they got to do every 2 years,
Mhm, right.
you know,
Well,
I-
the other thing is, I agree, it is kind of expensive. With that kind of expense, why don't they get their license?
well, then they have to. It's very expensive. I used to have one. It's expensive for the individual, even once you've been certified to keep that license up. And I get that. I really do, because they don't make a lot of money. But I'm just curious as to, for this money, do they have to go back in another year, 2 years, 5 years, or ever? You know?
I don't know if we've established that. That might be an HR policy kind of thing, but
Right.
the other part of it is how long are these employees gonna stay here? Are they gonna work their way up to be CDL drivers and drive big rigs somewhere else? And but we do that for other departments, police, fire. It's kind of like this.
You're right. We do.
It's bent over backwards for them.
But what is this? Is it just a certification? Many more hours needed to get a license? I don't know what the program involves.
I can't answer for what it involves for a newbie, fresh fish, to get one.
Okay.
It cost me about $100 every 2 years. I don't know exactly what the fee is to go out to somewhere in Winchendon, wherever, to get a medical exam. I have to have that medical certificate that's good for 2 years. And it's as far as any kind of training, as far as I know, you just have to pass the test.
And that's it.
Yeah, you go down to RMV and you pick up the proper pamphlet. You kiss the lady on the behind because she'll insist on it. Oh, I'm so angry at those people for this. And once you pass the test, the only places that I believe are difficult are hazmats and bus drivers over X number of passengers.
Right. I'm just curious what this program offers. Is it
What
you now you have the requirements for a license? Is that what this is?
You darn well better get a license. I had to pay for my license. Everybody I know has to pay for theirs. Now,
No.
In the past, the person got their license, came to
We're
us with
reimbursed.
a license, and then we picked up the cost of the license thereafter. We did pay for the training. Now, more and more, we seem to be paying for the training of people who then come and work for us for 2 days and go off and find a better job somewhere else because now they're fully trained.
But you know what? I suspect this training that they're offering is not to get a license. It will not qualify for your license, but you've got a good idea of what driving a real CDL vehicle is, and we're using that to to make them more aware and be safer in these non-CDL vehicles. That's my opinion. I don't
Maybe
know.
an insurance issue too.
It could be both. I'm hearing insurance in the room here, possibly, because,
Right.
26,000, 1 pound.
Yeah,
GVW is the requirement for CDL.
right. And these 2 vehicles that were approved by capital planning,
They don't require a CDL.
They don't require CDL.
But I think that we want them to have the training as if they were driving, the general rules, regulations, safety protocol, whatever.
Wouldn't they already have that? I mean,
I don't know. Is that what this course is they want to send them to? I don't know.
in other words, this is just a truck driver's course. Core.
Kind of, like, maybe, I
course.
guess.
Right, yeah, that's what it is, and what are all the safety elements with CDL? They probably go over
Air brakes
hydraulics
and
and air
stuff,
brakes
yeah.
and all of that. And that will probably help us with insurance. Are you?
Sure, I agree. But my biggest question is, how long, do they have to do this again? Is this something they have to, do
It-
CEUs for?
Yeah, I don't know.
How long does it last?
If they do,
If we don't require a CDL, then we should be only responsible once.
right, we should, but if these drivers leave, are we responsible again? It kind of, I'm just looking at to see, they have, equipment and professional services. I'm looking to see if they had training. I don't see a training line in their normal budget, but that might be something that they want to put in there for, because they are still going to have equipment that requires CDL. It's gonna, and
But that's not what this is.
that's not what this is. This is a line with the expectation that two new vehicles are coming in and they need two drivers. They don't need to have CDL licenses coming in, but we want them to be CDL trained
Well, we want them to know the
to operate
vehicle.
on our road.
And again, the insurance rates will probably go down because they've been trained, taking this course.
Right, yeah.
Go down $6,000?
Well, I don't know. That's where it comes in. Okay, do we have to do this every year? Or is it good for life? Then yeah, maybe it would be a payoff.
Well, maybe this is something we should ask when he's here when we're there at the meeting, we could just ask this from the floor, make a decision from there.
Well, we're asking. I wonder if the townspeople are going to ask that same question.
Mhm.
I know
Right.
very little about trucks, but it seems from what you said that the CDL license is based primarily on the weight of the truck.
Yeah.
How is say just a dump truck, just a regular?
Well, that's how we're getting away with these new vehicles. They don't weigh enough to require a CDL, which makes it attractive to us to have drivers because they don't require that license.
Right.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But,
I don't
but
understand.
what it does probably do is make them a better driver in the insurance company's eyes, more safety training, blah, 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 whatever.
Mhm.
And we went on the insurance thing. But as Sam said, it's $6,000. Is that what it's going to, will we get that out of it?
Right, is this a one-time expense and we're never going
And
to
is
see?
it a one-time expense? Exactly.
Or are we going to start to, oh, never mind.
No, it gets to that question. Or are we going to put it as a line? We have training in many lines in many of the organizations in town. Some years it could be zero, other years they may put it in. Much like the police budget this year is including training for new officers being hired. And they need to go through the training. It's kind of like you don't want an untrained officer out in the field. This sort of puts us in that point. I'm hoping that people come and want to stay with Townsend and continue to work. So I would expect it to be a one-time expense until we have a new operator on these vehicles.
But what I don't understand is how this is going to accomplish that. If the difference between the license and not the license is the weight of the vehicle, then these truck drivers should already be fully trained. And so if it's not going to give them a license, it's not going to affect the insurance or anything else, because as far as the insurance is concerned, they're already fully trained.
Yeah, but you know what? It's an extra, Andrea.
If I take it back to my driver's license test many years ago, if I went to the driving school and took the class, I got a lower insurance rate than people that just took the driving exam at the registry and got their license and didn't take the training.
When my husband went into the Army and we got insured with USAA, he
Yeah.
made me get my driver's license because women under 25 had better driving records than men.
Exactly.
So we
Yeah.
did it that way.
Right, yeah, which is another way of going about it, and you became the primary driver on the vehicle.
Hmm.
Um,
And I never drove. It was really very interesting.
But
But
to
as
the
with the industry all around, safety training is really pushed in all companies, all industries, like I said, and insurance companies take that into consideration.
But then
So-
shouldn't that safety training go for everyone, even the ones with the licenses?
If it was offered, I guess, yeah. I'm just
Right.
talking about, commercially, industrially, whatever. Workers' compensation rates are lowered depending on your safety program. If you have a really visible safety program, you're going to get a better rate because you're going to have less accidents. And I think maybe that's what this may be all about. It's maybe we're going to get a better rate on our insurance. I don't think it's going to give them their license. I think it's going to be like a start to it. And that's
they
just that's just my thoughts on it. I could be totally wrong.
Well, the highway department in general asks for very little as compared to
Oh,
other
yeah.
departments.
Yeah. And if this makes these guys better drivers and safer, and it does give us a discount on their insurance, I'm all for it. I don't think, like you said, they're going to jump because this is not going to give them a license unless I'm totally wrong. And
this
none of us know.
Right, so we have an open question on it, about what the training is, and, is this the price of the course? How many people? It's kind of like, is it just the two drivers? Is it more? Because all that it talks about in here is the highway department staff, is it 2, 3, 4, 5 people? So we do need a little bit more information on it, to be totally knowledgeable about what they're asking for on the motion.
Well, we should take a vote because we're getting right down to the wire, so that if you get good information, we can talk about it, but you can already have had our recommendation if it goes that way. Let's see where we stand on it.
Right. Yep. Yeah, so and we can sort of maybe write up, it would be
Yeah.
kind of a motion. I'm thinking if it's training for the two drivers for the trucks and it doesn't give them the CDL license, but it helps with the operation and reducing insurance, we would recommend that this pass. Is there any reason, it's kind of like, and see the price per course, so it's kind of like, we recommend it with details. It's kind of like, so an explanation of the motion is going to have to come with about how many people, what it's specifically for, because I don't know that a recommendation sheet from town administrator or board of selectmen has been,
Can we simply pass on it for lack of information?
Yes, pass on it.
we can, it's kind of like.
I mean, because I'm really,
Yeah, we can.
if I understand it the way I'm thinking, I think it's a good idea, but with the lack of information to make a, recommendation is kind of tough.
Right, yep, no,
We just pass on them.
we can do that, we can make a motion that says we make no recommendation because there's not enough details available to us at this time.
So
I'll make that recommendation.
I'll second.
Yeah. I'll make that, whatever.
Right, now, as that goes, that's today's. Do we want to try to do a meeting Tuesday and revisit if we can get more information tomorrow?
We're gonna make ourselves crazy.
I know we are. It's kinda
Monday or
like-
Tuesday
Well, it would have to be Tuesday, I would have had.
Oh, Tuesday,
afternoon?
Tuesday, it would have to be early in the day so that we can then print.
as we go through every year, guys, it's my birthday week.
Oh,
I was gonna say, it's my Baltimore Oriole week. It's kinda like
And it's Bruins night tonight too, so we gotta move on.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, just so you're aware, I called the NHL commissioner and he postponed it until 8 o'clock for us.
Until 8 o'clock. I saw that, Dawn.
And now you know why.
Yes, I do.
I gotta leave by 20 after 6.
Okay, so we gotta get a move on here. Sorry. It kinda,
So is that what we're gonna do? What are we gonna do with this article? We're gonna, we need more information. How we word it?
Yeah, so, we said we're making no recommendation due to lack of information. So
Correct.
that was the motion you said, so it's kinda like, so
Yep.
Mark made one, and we had several seconded people, so it's kinda like I'm gonna choose Andrea.
Yep.
Because I heard her, and as well as Jerry, but, and so a yes vote is to make no recommendation on this article because it lacks some detail of, and
Perfect.
if we get to that point during, and we get more information, can have a discussion, and we have a quorum at town meeting, we can take, we can't have a meeting and vote on it, sorry. It's kind of, we can,
No time to post it.
no, but it's something we can verbally, it's kind of like,
We can verbalize it on town.
we can verbalize it on the
Yeah.
town meeting floor, why we're
Why we're
making this
doing it, yeah.
recommendation. Okay, so that's our motion, we're making no recommendation due to a lack of detailed information to be able to support this. And so yes vote supports that we make no recommendation.
John Bezikas, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes?
Dan Grant, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. Okay, Article 9, scroll up just a little bit. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from free cash or other available funds from the treasury the sum of $14,500 for the purpose of contracting with a consultant to assist with bylaw review committee, or take any other action there too.
No way.
So there has been a bylaw committee active, I think, for maybe about 15 months or so. Haven't heard anything, haven't seen anything, and I haven't looked on a bylaw committee website on the page, so I don't know where it is, but I understand the need to work with a consultant because a committee may not have enough time or legal background to be able to prepare bylaws. I would also like to.
Are we just
Yeah.
modifying or checking them?
Well,
We don't know.
they're going through the current bylaws and then updating and making changes, and so this consultant would go through and make sure that the wordsmith is as it needs to be in bylaws.
And why can't we use legal counsel for that?
Well, it does say that it's a consultant, and so the team we use to be town council could certainly, this could go out for bid. At 14,500, it's probably an amount available to go out for bid, and they would be available to do it.
I hate to say this, but I have never seen a board of selectmen so crazy to hire consultants for every damn thing that comes along rather than using people available for the same purpose.
Right, but if there's an amount specific to a task like this, I think once you hit a particular threshold, you have to go out to bid.
I think it's over 10,000, isn't it?
It may have increased recently, but 10,000 used to be the number I remember.
Why do we
But this
recommend?
isn't a capital purchase, so it really wouldn't matter.
Okay,
To
No,
hire
but
people as consultants doesn't come under that.
right, it doesn't come under the capital, but I think it does come under, needing to post, request, RFQs, the request for quotes and bids to be placed.
Yes. Well, we don't know that that hasn't been done, and that they're just short this amount of money for getting the person that they want.
Hmm.
The flow of information from the selectman's office to us has been abysmally poor.
Mhm. Yes,
Agreed.
No comment.
yeah.
Chicken.
You are
So what do
being
you-
recorded.
so what do we want to do? Pass on it and let them explain why they can't use town council, or let the town decide, or?
I say let them decide, but I not recommend.
I can't recommend it either. It seemed, well, it's a huge amount of money.
Right.
You know, like we were just discussing earlier, we don't have a whole bunch of money to give away.
Yeah.
Right, so,
I don't
A
think we-
lot of these articles look like we've got extra money to give away.
it's
Some
not,
people think that, I think.
right, they do, and it's kind of like, and giving away, back to the old adage, free cash is neither free nor is it cash. It's kind of like, an item with free cash means you had been taxed on it, and do you want to use it for this? Or, again, this one probably has a little bit limited information with it. We can, and it sounds like there's a motion hanging that people would make that we don't recommend Article 9 at this particular time.
Correct.
So if that being the case, we need a motion, a motion and a second on Article 9.
Dawn, could I speak on that? This is Veronica Kell. I'm on the Bylaw Review Committee.
Yes, please.
If you look at our E-code, in other words, if you go to the bylaws and regulations on the website and you see our E-code, you will see that there are all these amendments that had come in over the past approximately 20 years. The
Mhm.
last time the town did this review of the E-code was early 2000s, I believe. So the thought is to incorporate those into the bylaws themselves. And also in that process, look at new general laws that have come in and wording that is required. Yeah, so go there.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Yeah, you can see it. If you go to, let me see. And
and there's one, it's kind of like, I don't know if town properties has any, right, up here, you have the history on,
when it was adopted, and if you look at some of them, and actually here, amended it in its entirety. Now, was that put in there? I suppose Kathy Spofford, as our town clerk, could do all this. But we don't we, the town, I don't know that updating our E-code, other than putting in, this was amended in this town meeting, this was amended in this town meeting. That's not really her job or anybody else's in town. And so the thing here is to look at what needs to be incorporated wording wise, and what bylaws, are we consistent with Mass General Law?
So Master
Sure, we
Warren-
could pay our town council extra to do this as well, if they
Mhm.
want to bid on doing that.
Right.
So,
The $14,000 or whatever it was,
14.
is just a guess on what you'll need,
no,
or
it's not a guess. There is a company, the E-Code company. We talked to them, and that's their amount. Now, anything over 10,000, you need to get 3 quotes. And so we would go out. There are other companies that do this, and maybe we would want to, we, the town or the bylaw committee or whomever, would want to go with a different company doing it. But we did talk to E-Code, and this includes incorporating everything, a legal review, and recommendations for what needs to be added or changed in our bylaws.
Yeah.
And it will probably take about a year for them to do all this. The hope is the next annual town meeting, but it's possible that it won't be until the following special town meeting, depending on how, whomever we hire, how much time they have available. So sure, we could, there are other companies, we could pay town council. We should ask town council, but if they wanted to do it, they would bid on it. That's not necessarily what they do. And there isn't staff in town hall that does this. Unless we tell the town clerks, because she's the keeper of the records. These are our records. So that's why it's there. So it's not a frivolous expenditure, and it is free cash, money that's available to the town that is outside of the budget. Funds that weren't spent.
And as we talk about that, it's not a recurring expense, it's one-time expense money.
Correct. And our charter does say that every 5 years, we're to review the bylaws and make recommendations. The town is to have a bylaw review committee that looks at the bylaws and makes recommendations. So I don't know in the special town meeting who they have listed as the person that requested this article. It might be the Board of Selectmen.
It is the Board of Selectmen, yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Board of Selectmen in one of their meetings. It was an open meeting. Might have been January, February, March timeframe, and said, hey, what's the extent that you want us to do, and should we review all this?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where it came from. And you guys, I'm going to mute myself. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
That's good.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Rebecca. I appreciate you being here and asking to speak, because with sharing my screen, I don't see hands raised and I don't see the other part. So does that help anybody with the purpose of this article?
well, it certainly helps me. I have a much better understanding now.
Okay. And maybe that's what we should have done, is invited people from each of these articles to help do it. Okay.
It's an open meeting. They could have come if they wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of. So with that and the explanation, are we ready to make a motion on Article 9?
Okay, we're still on the other page, and I don't remember the number of the article.
Sorry. Yep, thank you. It's kind of
9.
9, yeah. Okay, get back to that page. Okay, so Article 9, up near the top here.
I recommend that we, I'd like to recommend Article 9.
Okay, so the motion is for Finance Committee to recommend Article 9. Made by Andrea. Do we have a second?
Just second it so we can go on. You don't have to vote for it.
Right,
Second.
yeah. So we had a second by Jerry in the room. Any additional discussion, questions?
Nope.
Okay, none being heard. We're voting, a yes vote will be to recommend this article pass at town meeting. For the special. Roll call vote, please.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Carol Mazik is yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. I still gotta work on whether we do that. Okay. We're ready for Article 10. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from ambulance receipts or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $35,000 for the purpose of paying for fire department emergency vehicle equipment, or take any other action there too.
This is just a simple transfer.
It is a simple transfer. I had questions the other day related to this article that maybe have nothing to do with this article. My concern is accounting and timing. Is this approving to go out and purchase it, or is it paying for items that were purchased not against the budget line already? So we're just using it to cover a purchase that was made.
Did you get an answer?
I did not get an answer yet. It's kind of like the accountant has been in training the last few days,
Right.
and
But should that have come under capital then? I know
Well,
it's his money, but
35, right, but even still, things that are paid for from ambulance receipts
Right.
go through capital. So the questions are, is this a single piece of equipment? Is it multiple pieces of equipment? Does any other qualify for capital planning? So
we don't know.
we don't know that, but it's kind
I
of.
mean, it's his money.
Right, yeah, so with that, it's a simple transfer, but there's other pieces that, depending on how it operates, are we gonna fail an audit that said we didn't do this? Have we gone outside the process of capital planning? You know, are there processes that were broken to get to this point? It's kind of like, or is it?
Well, does it also allow other departments to do the same thing?
It would appear that way if we don't do an evaluation of process and procedure and follow up and tighten up any holes that may be in a process that would allow this to happen, you know.
Well, and since
Other department, yeah,
it's
sorry,
a transfer and it's from other funds, it would not affect the capital budget. It wouldn't lower the capital budget. It's you know, by separating it out, because it didn't cost anything within the capital budget either,
But it didn't go
because
through the
they're funding it from a
Right.
transfer. So
right, but, yeah,
I understand what you say. I don't know what it's for either.
right, so yeah, I mean, those are my questions. If it was a bill and it went outside the procedure, we have to pay it. It's kind of like, and they're doing it with funds from within their own organization. But I think that there's got to be a forensic look at this to see how and why this is happening.
Yeah, I know that there have been the capital planning committee has been working very hard, and the equipment for that ambulance is one of the articles that they have, and it's been out there and it's been discussed a couple of times. It seems to me almost like this article is a mistake, like it shouldn't be here at all. You know, because it's already been taken care of elsewhere.
But it really wasn't. When the capital plan had approved it, but when the capital plan made it to Board of Selectmen shot down the you making it part of the capital plan. So it was brought forward to the capital plan. It was approved by the capital plan committee, but when the capital plan committee submitted submitted and had it reviewed by Board of Selectmen, that was an item taken off the capital plan. That was passed and will be passed.
We don't know if that's ambulance or what it is.
Um,
Is it ambulance?
a fire department emergency vehicle, so doesn't necessarily say specifically ambulance or fire truck, but
Or
it's,
rescue?
it's just for,
Or rescue.
rescue. I would suspect probably rescue because it's talking about emergency vehicle rather than fire truck or
Right.
ambulance specific.
It's just nice to stay within the parameters of what everybody else does.
Right, because not everybody else has an ambulance fund to pull from.
So should we take a vote?
Do we have a motion related to Article 10? Do we recommend or not recommend?
Is there any, again, maybe this would be cleared up if we could read the motion for this article?
Okay, so I made a note that we would like the motion details. Is this another one that we want to get information on? And again, we can't have a meeting and vote, but we can pass additional information we've learned on.
Well, we can ask them on
During-
town meeting floor, you know,
Right.
what's it for?
Yeah.
And that's not unusual for a department head.
Right.
Whoever it is. And it is his money.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if we use, and so we recommend ambulance receipts other than, or other available funds. Okay, sorry, I'm just making notes and being quiet here. So do we have a motion to take no action and provide details?
I'll make a motion to take no action, and upon receiving more details.
And I'll second that.
Any further questions?
No.
None being heard, a roll call vote, please. A yes is recommending no action, no recommendation from Finance Committee, but if it does pass, we recommend that ambulance receipts are used to pay this
Yes,
amount.
Jerome said this was.
Okay,
Andrew,
Mark
would
Hussey,
yes.
yes. I'm sorry, Mark Hussey, yes.
Andrew,
Jim,
would
yes.
yes. I'm sorry, I'm stomping on everybody. Excuse
No,
me.
you're not.
You used to have an order, but
okay, yeah. Thanks. Okay, so I got everybody as a yes for that with recommending,
Details.
detailed information, recommending ambulance receipts, and Finance Committee is not recommending at this particular time, at this particular meeting. Article 11, everybody's favorite, deficit spending, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $100,059 and I'm sorry, get my
I can't
number.
think that high either.
Yeah,
$145,000.
$159,541, or another sum for the purpose of offsetting the FY24 snow and ice deficits under the provision of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31B, or take any other action related thereto.
Well, I don't think we really have a choice on this one.
We don't have a choice. We lucked out on the last storm. It wasn't snow or ice.
No,
And so,
trying to go into a vote.
if there's no discussion on it, do we have a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend.
I'll second it.
Any other questions, or it's all straightforward? We're ready to vote?
Darrell Bezikas, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes?
Sam Grant,
Sorry,
yes.
John Hayes, yes. No, there is 0 no, so it's unanimous. Article 12, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a 5-year contract with GW Shaw and Sons for trash and recycling services to include totes or take any other action in relation thereto.
I think that we should let the town decide on this one, really.
Well, in a way, regarding the toad,
Yeah.
that would have already been, wait a minute. We're doing a special or the annual?
Special.
This is the
Oh,
special.
okay. I
Yeah.
just got, lost.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, so Article 12 and 13 are mirrors of each other. We received the 2 quotes, one with toters, one without.
The one with
Article-
toters is less.
Correct.
Correct. But that's a 5-year contract with 3 years unknown, am I correct?
2 years on
2 years
that.
unknown.
2 years unknown? Okay.
Well, what
Yes.
we're really voting there, I think, besides the trash thing, is that unless it goes to town meeting vote, the selectmen are not allowed to enter into a 5-year contract.
Right, isn't
They
that
only
what this
enter into a 3-year
article is
contract.
about, allowing them to do that? Or giving them
That's-
permission to?
Right,
That's
so.
part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I think this article is after 2 things. It's after the 5-year time period and the totes or non-tote.
Now, would they
Right.
not give us, I meant to ask this question the other night, would they not give us a 3-year quote?
they did not consider a 3-year quote. They
Okay.
did not submit a 3-year quote
Well,
for this
I
service.
only attend Board of Health meetings now and again. But I attended that one, and what was presented was the chairman said that he supported the 5-year. There was no, I mean, they may have well had a previous discussion of it, but at their last meeting, there was no, he supported the 5-year, it went forward to a vote, and that's what went.
Because the 3-year was probably more expensive, knowing they're not gonna possibly get the other 2 or whatever, which makes sense, I understand it.
Yeah,
It just kind of stinks entering into a contract with 2 years, you really have an unknown cost. So you're gonna have to pay it no matter what it is.
And what's even worse is you have the unknown costs, like you said, but we have the unknown rise and or fall of the inflation.
Correct.
right, so, do you want me to pull up one of the contracts to look at it?
Lots of,
Let me see if I can find it quickly. FY25. Oh, finance. Better go to finance. FY25. Figures, right? Board of Health. It's in Board of Health, cash contract. So, I'm just gonna pull up one looking at the totals, just so that we can have in front of us, a look at what we're talking about. So this is the 5-year contract. When we look at the initial year, the first year, they are quoting what the curbside pickup is on the first line. Then they have the tip fee per ton. Then they project how many tons we're gonna have in the year, and then the recycling fee, per ton, and then an estimated on the recycling fee. And so at the end of that top service, that's the curbside pickup, is the 892,000. And then is all of these other fees that are in here, that are listed based on when they're picking up at the recycling center. The rest of them are containers around town and how much, and they're picking up at Board of Health, twice a month. So all of those will figure into it, but when we get down to year 4, for instance, scrolling down, we should be at year 4. When we get to year 4, their service for the collection fees here, they're still estimating the same tonnage for recycling and curbside trash. But what they're not doing is they don't know what the market price for the tonnage is. And they have given us, and then the rest of it is the recycling haul fee is there, but everything else is market price. So in the details of a 5-year contract, these are the quotes that have been presented. What the special town meeting article is looking for is to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a 5-year contract. So we're looking at it, the idea is these articles have to pass in order to get for selectmen to negotiate a 5-year contract. And that's what the purpose of the articles are for. The other pieces or details about the pricing probably concern us from Finance Committee, but without the permission to enter in and negotiate on a 5-year contract or try to get additional quotes from other companies, maybe it wasn't presented as an opportunity for 5 years to other companies. They might be able to go out and rebid. I don't know. It's kind of like, but this is just their permission to get into the contract. But because we see it, we probably, it's financial impact on the background, because if we look at the 5-year contract, is years that we don't know how much it's going to be in years 4 or 5. We can't predict that based on whatever market price is at that. But the first 3 years are pretty much quoted in there. But there are caveats about additional expenses that can be charged. So it gets into the, this is all about the negotiating a 5-year contract. Does the town approve it?
So if we don't recommend to approve, and the town does not approve, where does that put us without trash pickup for that budget? Am I correct?
Yep, starting July 1st. Yep.
Correct.
Yep. So
I know there's a backup plan for that.
No, it will be, I assume from talking to Carla, if we don't do anything and it ends July 3rd or June 30th, July 1st, it's every man for himself.
right. Yep.
Right. But there was some talk about an imposed fee to each citizen to that'll be part of your tax bill, or it could be part of your tax bill, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that number, when I ran it, I didn't think it sounded that bad, to be honest. But I could have.
It's probably better than it's like buying electricity in the conglomerate. You do
Right.
better. If you went out and tried to individually contract with somebody to come by your house and do curbside pickup, you'd be paying a high price.
Unless you had half the town on board with you.
Right, and and so those are the pieces. It's kinda
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so-
And then again, how about the non-takers? So how does that equate to the actual cost? And what would, our rate would go up the less people that would use it. So it's I call it an SS. It's I just wish it wasn't worded for the 5-year contract, but I guess that's all we can accept. That's all they will accept.
Well, that's just saying that they can enter into a 5-year contract.
Right.
Well, we're saying specifically with Shrub because we have the quotes, so.
Yeah,
So that's definitely based on the 2 quotes that we have in hand.
right.
Going out and asking people to quote now, there's definitely not enough time before town meeting, so we're looking at these amounts and the different amounts between the two contracts, and you're right, with the toters, as they call them, it's less expensive per.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if we're looking to save a few bucks, which is about, rough it to 40,000 a year, less expensive by doing Article 12 versus Article 13. And that price will escalate as you get further out, just because they're basing it on needing additional labor and raises and all that on the guys on the truck, two people versus one, the prices go up accordingly. With that, so,
Can I ask a question here?
yeah,
I didn't see sufficiently long enough on that contract. But when they're saying market rates, that's something that's verifiable. So they are telling us that on year 4 and year 5, whatever the market rate is what we're going to be working on. The rest of the numbers seem to stay the same.
they're pretty close. When we, I'm gonna, if I jump down to the municipal building items, they're going up about $5 a year on those containers.
Right. So we've got an idea of what everything else is, but what we can't do, they
Is
can't
not-
do, nobody can do, is say what the tipping rate's going to be 4 years out. The other side of
Correct.
the coin is they are saying market price, just like buying a lobster. You know,
Yep.
you're going to get a reasonable thing, and you're able to verify that you're getting a reasonable price on that that lobster or whatever.
Right.
If you know that the market price for a restaurant is should be $15 a pound, and you're paying $45 a pound, then you're being ripped off. And we can definitely have, I'm certain that somebody's going to verify that they are giving us the market rate as contracted 3 years earlier.
Yep, which this is a contract, and so I would expect, and it's presented to Board of Health, and they recommended coming in, so I would expect that the Board of Health is looking at this and trying to update it as we get, because year 4 is fiscal year 2028, when we would be getting to that point, we'd be looking at trying to see those numbers so that we can get the correct charges either into the operating budget or onto the bills that are passed to real estate owners.
But they are guaranteeing, according to this contract that I'm looking at, market rates, which is verifiable.
At that time, but you don't.
Yeah, when we get there.
When we get there. So it's kind of like, you're gonna know what it is when we get there. You don't know what it is 3 years
Now.
in advance, or 4 years in advance. Yep. So, and there are a few others of market rates in some of the earlier years too, but, bulky plastic tip fee per ton, market price, and that's, if I scroll up, that's year 2. See if there's anything in here. In year 1, the bulky plastic fee is also market price. So there's a couple of things, even in year 1, that are market price, not guaranteed, not a solid price in your contract. But yeah, so it's there. There's a lot of contract detail. Again, how do we want to attack Article 12? And I think that it goes for both. I don't know if it's an either or. If they pass Article 12, they don't bring up no action on 13. So if we vote down Article 12 and go to Article 13 individually, so do we want to recommend that the Board of Selectmen can enter into the 5-year agreement with Shaw?
I'm for it.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, so you want to make that motion, Sam, to vote that, or?
To be honest with you, I can't make that motion for the simple reason that I don't like the new totes coming to my place because I have enough trouble trying to store the stuff. So I have to now store empty totes and then fill them on Wednesday morning before they show up. So that's there's no way I can take one of those totes full of recycling out to the drive. I can take that to get to my side door here where we go out all the time. Yeah, from there the tote's fine all the way to the curb. But in the barn, there's a lot of wiggling around to get in and out of there. So, but the other side of the coin is, for the benefit of the town and the taxes that we pay, I have to go with the tote thingy. So the reason I can't make the thing is because I don't know exactly which way I would vote. It's every minute it's a different way.
Again, you can make a motion that we recommend, you, as Finance Committee, you can make the motion that we recommend that, Finance Committee recommends this article, but you don't either have to vote for it here and you don't have to vote for it at town meeting.
And I have to make a recommendation for both of them. Both
And you can-
12 and 13.
Right, and maybe that makes sense that, and maybe Article 13, if our Article 12 passes, there's no need for Article 13 because it's a higher price and
Right.
Oh, do you want me to make the motion?
you can make a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go with the 5-year contract.
We recommend a 5-year contract with toters.
I'll
So
second
Article
that.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was Mark on the second? Okay, and any further discussion?
No, I'll go with it.
Okay,
Vote for both.
roll call vote on Article 12 to recommend, a yes vote is to recommend Article 12 and entering the 5-year contract.
Jerome Bezikas, yes.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Hayes, yes. And then we will go right into Article 13 since it's no toters. If the town votes down 12 and then consider 13, I think 13 is no action.
No, we have to wait on that one.
We either have to wait on it or we can recommend that, we can also recommend this if,
We can recommend both?
we can recommend both. It's
I'll
just
make
kinda
the
like,
recommend.
because we're saying trash pickup is important to the
Right,
townspeople.
okay, I'll make a recommendation on 13 also.
To recommend.
And
Yeah.
then,
I'll
the town
second it.
can decide, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have,
Jerome Bezikas, yes.
Andrea Wood, no.
Sam Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
and Bill Hayes. No, I'm a cheapie. I want the other one.
You don't live on a farm.
I don't live on a farm. There are things that, yeah, I am very, I was gonna say, they're forcing people to use toast is tough in two counts. If one is the handling of them, the other is, what if you only have a small amount of trash on a week? It's kind of like you still gotta handle the tote and bring it out to the inn, when you used to have them just drive by and pick up
We've
So
been
it's
good enough
hard to-
with trash here that a lot of times the trash bag goes out every other week, mainly
Mhm.
because there's no food, organic items that go in the trash, because that's called garbage, and that goes to a spinner out in the backyard. Um,
Exactly.
and the only thing that we really have is a lot of recycling,
Mhm.
and
Right.
it doesn't all fit in the tote.
Ah,
But one
there
of
you go.
the things we should remember is that not only is with the totes, is it the cheaper contract, it's
Right.
also savings for Shaw because he only needs one man then per truck. So
Mhm.
ultimately down the road, the the contract should be cheaper if we all have the totes than if we don't, because he has to hire more men to do it. And that with the inflation, etc., everything
Mhm.
going on, it's going to cost more, and that's going to be reflected in our contract.
Right.
I'm 100% in agreement, but there's a lot of cardboard and a lot of tin and cans and plastic bottles that get into that, that one tote.
Oh, I agree with you
I mean,
100% there.
in a sense, I am voting to throw more trash away that is recyclable because I've got an empty trash bucket
Yeah.
and I've got an overfull
Yeah.
recyclable bucket.
Carla told me that it costs more presently to do the recycling than it does the trash.
It's a moral problem I've
But
had that problem with recycling since since the
but
last
the
century.
thing of it is the state requires it's a mandate
Oh, in that case,
that we
I won't
recycle.
do it. The state's
Okay.
mandating it. They do enough trouble.
Yeah.
They already have mandated it. The state has, but they've done nothing to try to offset any cost. Yeah,
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna, wanna, sort of pull it back to, try to get through at least the special.
I think we're through the special, aren't we?
I think we're through the special, the rest of them are zoning bylaw adoption.
Yeah.
Hello.
But I don't know if we want to take, if we look at Article 14, they're changing the zoning on a property, and taking it out of commercial and putting it into residential, or industrial and putting it into residential. Which, one of the things everybody asks for is more business, but here's a place where we're taking property out of industrial and moving it into residential. So it's no longer gonna be available.
But there's no, it's still not considered a financial article, I don't think.
Okay, then we will.
I
take no
agree,
action.
yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, and then the others are leases for two properties, the Old Harbor Fire Station and the fire station for 50-year leases. I don't know if that,
I think we'd have to wait until we find, when they came up with a figure for the
Yeah.
fee, which isn't there, so it's not financial.
Right.
yeah, so, and then the last one is trying to sell a property at 182 Warren Road, which the Town Properties Committee did recommend that we sell that property, but it didn't go in the last, the three that we did last November. They wanted to hold on to it because they wanted to know if it was gonna be split between, fishing games and split into two lots, but it looks like they're ready to go with it now. Because all that would do is split off the back half and allow fishing games and the state to pay us just a little bit of money every month, on that property. But if we keep, as it is, it looks like that's gonna go through, so they're listing the whole property to, anybody that might be interested to buy it, probably go to auction again like the other three. Yeah. Okay, that was the special. We got through it a little bit. We are losing a member here in the room, and it's not me. Do we want to go into the annual town meeting? Skipping the main part, which is the budget, and revisit the budget, say on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and try to get through budget then? Or just keep plugging away?
I think we should plug away as long as we can, as long as we can.
Okay? Yeah. So we'll keep going.
Let me know if you do have a meeting. Okay,
Okay, now, we have been at this for, what, 2.5 hours. We want to take a 5-minute pause?
Oh, lovely. Yes.
Okay, then we'll pause here for 5 minutes and come back at 6:30. So 6 minutes, according to my on the computer. Okay, not sure what Hartley you do with that, but we're going to pause for the 5 or 6 minutes here.
Okay, I heard you. I'll pause the recording
No,
and
Hartley.
just let me know when you're ready to come back.
No, it's yeah, it sounds like you're going to run it and cut it afterwards, maybe.
Okay, so I'll keep recording. I'll
But,
just-
yeah, but let Dave get his input. Sorry, Dave.
Hartley, do exactly that. Leave it recording and we'll just cut out the break and the edit.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
okay.
Okay, well, good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, that's all right.
Meeting over?
No,
What happened?
I don't know. I don't, I mean,
Hey, Sam, they're taking a 5-minute break, go to the bathroom or whatever, and then they're gonna come back and start in on the next group of articles.
thank you. I was looking at the bloody annual paperwork and that's enough to bury your eyes.
Yeah, so go ahead, you got till 6:30.
I may be back.
Okay.
Make commitments to it.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're back at 6:30. Are we ready to come back into session?
Not 45 minutes.
Yeah, they've been on break, so was I.
Oh.
Okay, just make sure we have a quorum. Sam, are you ready to go?
I'm here, ready, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Andrea
Yep.
and Mark?
Yeah, I'm here for half an hour.
Okay, so that says, that's our time limit, okay?
Somebody had to say it.
Yep, that's okay. It's kind of like, I'm here, I'll keep the lights on all night if you keep me going. Okay, so.
All right.
We are now into the annual. So let me clear up my screen a little bit. And so we have the annual town meeting in front of us. Articles 1 and 2 again are calling it to, Article 1 is the voting, standard Article 1 for every year, talking about the vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all top town officers, unless other provisions are made by Mass General Law or Town Charter. So that would include us, with being appointed by Town Moderator. Article 2 is to see if we're gonna hear anything, so there's no action for, Finance Committee. Article 3 is the spending limits in the revolving funds. Generally, we vote on this. Last year, after town meeting, we increased 2, and then looks like they have increased, another one this year. So these are the amounts. You want me to highlight what the changes are from what we approved at town meeting last year to this year? Or to
I think that'd be helpful.
Okay, so recycling last year was 20,000, and this year if for FY '24 was 20,000, and they're upping it to 33,000. And again, that can be the rates are higher that they have to pay, they're charging more, there's more money coming in. So that's just a number that's increased to cover the increased activity and volume with the recycling center. The recreation programs last year, was passed, I believe it said 52,000 in the annual town meeting, but that's one of the two that we voted out. About a month after town meeting, we voted to be at 100,000 and it's remaining at 100,000. Facilities remains constant at 4,000. The cemetery, is last year was 28,000. It's going to be 30,000 this year, so it increases by 2,000. Again, small increment to increase the revolving account, just probably to cover increase of revenues that they were getting. The fire alarm stays at 4,000. It was 4,000 last year. Animal care stays the same. The fire EMS at 5,000 stays the same. The police, 80,000 is the same. Conservation, 20,000 is the same. Fire EMS at 10,000 is the same. The firearms licensing was a new one created last year for the police department. Public records request, again, by the police department last year was 1,000 when it was created and approved. And the detailed cruiser fees at $2,000 is the same as last year. So recycling increased, recreation increased, but to the same amount that we had voted in one of our sessions. Cemetery is the 2,000 increase. So those are the increases for the year. And we have not had the ability to output the detailed information into a file that we can manage and look at. So we're going to continue to work on that with the software provider and see if we can get information to a file so that we can easily manage and review those accounts and make sure that again, a short time after town meeting, we're not going back and increasing these, that we take care of it at town meeting and we don't have to do any adjustments to it. Okay, so
Can I ask
any
you a
questions?
question?
Yep.
Are some of these funds, quote, self-sustaining, such as recreation?
They are. The recreation program, the revenues come in and then they make payments out to the counselors and the rec coordinators that they hire to provide, as well as any materials that are needed. So yeah, the money comes in, it's the whole piece about revolving. When a program is paid for, the money goes into the account, and when there's a bill associated with the recreation program, it exits from that same account. It's paid out of that same.
If you go down to number 12, the firearms licensing, I paid, I think $200, $100 each to get the firearm license. That goes in to replace into that 6,000.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it goes into that fund, and if they have anything associated with investigation and associated with it, anything associated with the firearms licensing that's an expense for it, they will charge it into that account and pay it out of that account.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we ready for a motion for, that would be?
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 3 as written.
I'll second it.
Okay. And so with that, a vote, roll call vote if there's no questions.
Mark Hussey, yes?
Andrea Wood, yes?
Sam Grant, yes?
Don Hayes, yes, and Jerome Bezikas has left, so we are still a quorum, and that one passes unanimous with the quorum we have. The next item on the operating budget is, to see if the town will raise and appropriate transfer from available funds in the treasury such sum that may be necessary to defray the charges and expenses on the town year of fiscal year 2025 pursuant to detailed budget totaling $28,303,687. And with that, they have these 5 accounts that they're transferring money into the general fund to support. So the Title V, debt repayment, the West Townsend Reading Room operating expenses and things that taken from renting. The ambulance receipts is $700,000. The water enterprise that is being transferred for our overhead is $381,651. And then the recreation revolving account is paying $10,000 is moving $10,000 to offset the assistant director position. So what that is the assistant director also provides some of the programming and provides the hours to support the program. And so those are calculated at the $10,000 and paid out of, moved from the recreation revolving account into the general fund so that the actual budgeted amount is $10,000 less. It's the assistant director position is fully funded, but they're offsetting much like the ambulance receipt due to operate the EMS. They're contributing to the general fund so that we can use it and appropriate it to a position in their departments. Any questions on the transfers that are helping to support the general operating budget?
Have we had this article this way before? I don't remember it before.
We have.
Okay.
But I'm looking at it. It's kind of like the 28 million seems to be associated with the whole budget, not just.
Yeah, well, and it seems to me if you have your revolving fund set up, it can only be used for certain things. So why we're voting it here and they're just not doing it, I don't understand. Because every time we do say where the recycling center at the landfill,
Yeah.
we never pass on the money at town meeting for that. We take the revolving fund and then they use that revolving fund as they need to. I don't understand the listing or why it's here.
Because in those cases, those revolving amounts are paying for the items they were set up for and used. They're not part of the operating budget. Here, there's money that needs to come in to try to offset some of the pieces that are part of the operating budget that are funded by some of these locations. Like, if we look at the water enterprise piece.
They're using the revolving funds
Yeah.
to fund operational budget items. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When we look at the.
Right.
Well, I mean, if we look at the water enterprise fund, that's the water department does not submit their own payroll. It is paid, they use town services, they use the accountant.
Right.
Insurance is for the employees and health insurance, so the insurances are done under town insurances. So there's this transfer that's needed from water department to offset the cost that we have in the operating budget. So it's really, they're paying for the pieces of the operating budget from these revolving accounts that they
In the
have.
past few years, if you look at the articles on Old Warren, when
Yeah.
we vote the water department, one of the
Yeah.
3 items in there is to pay town costs.
Mhm. Right, I happened to grab, the annual town report while I stepped out, and that's showing these exact same 5 that we voted these same 5 last year as part of Article 5, which was the main budget.
Okay, I guess I just don't remember it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. It's kind of like, and that's why I refer back to what we've done in the past and what's recorded in the annual town report. So, that's all, those are all individually the same funds as we did last year. The amounts are a little different. The ambulance reserve fund is up 200,000. The water enterprise is down roughly 4,000. And the recreation revolving account is the same. So we have two that are different in value this year than they were last year.
So,
Yep.
yeah, what is what is this article to accomplish?
Well, the article, as I read it, it's kind of like, it doesn't stop at the transfer of the funds. The transfer of the funds are the first half, and the second is the full budget. Do we want to skip over the full budget and consider it at a different time, or do we want to just keep going budget? Let's skip by budget and hit other articles.
Well, like I said, by 7 o'clock, I've about had it, and I apologize. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
You can know I'm retired, and I got to get something to eat and stuff. And been on here almost 3 hours now.
Yep, going on 3. Yep.
Yeah. So I hate to be the bad guy and spoil it, but and as far as Tuesday afternoon, it would have to be after 3 for me to get together. So that even makes it harder. I don't know if anyone else is available. Anyways, let's move on for a while again, at least.
Okay,
If
so
you guys want.
So, yeah, this is the transfer of the funds are just the start of the main budget. So let's skip by the main budget, see if we can see some of the other warrant articles. Sorry for the scrolling, but it's a big budget. And Article 5 is associated with the budget. I don't know that we don't have a number to vote for, and so we don't know where we stand with balanced budget at this point. So I would say there's nothing to vote on Article 5 until we see the motion
Yeah.
on it.
Water department.
Okay. To see if Article 6 is to see if the town will vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officers of the town provided by Mass General Law and amended as appropriated by this warrant, or take any action thereto.
That fixes Kathy's salary.
Yeah. And, yeah, right in the description, the article is legally required to set the town clerk's budgeted salary. which I'm just trying to, yeah, so that would set it, and it's kind of it is, and it's kind of like, and I don't want to page up and see all that. There's a lot to scroll through. So that would fix the salary at what's in the budget. It's kind of, I look at the copy of the budget that I had, the town clerk's salary was the 4% increase year over year to match all the other employees. So it would be this year in FY25, that would be 79,280, which is like I say, the 4% over last year's, which was 76,201. Do we want to make a motion on that to set that?
I recommend that we recommend Article, whatever it is.
Article 6. Okay. so
6,
we're gonna,
yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so with no further, unless there's further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. A yes vote is going to say that we fix the town clerk budgeted salary to what's in the budget.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Okay, and Don Hayes, yes. Article 7. Kind of see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $2,062,174. For any of the sum for the water enterprise fund revenues to operate the water department for 2025 in order to fund the cost of the intermunicipal expenses of the $380,651. So this is approving the amount from above that transfer. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is setting the water enterprise fund at the $2,062,174 and transferring the sum to offset their expenses that are included in the general budget or the operating budget.
I move that we recommend this article.
I'll second it.
Okay. And roll call vote.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam
Mark
Grant,
Hussey.
yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Okay, and Don Hayes, yes. Article 8, capital. So these are the capital articles that have been approved. So we had the ones that are approved in the warrant are the police records management for $35,000, the building energy retrofit at $77,700, and the 2 highway power standard dump truck at $180,000.
Is all that money to come from free cash?
No, that's all on a borrow. It's listed as borrow. So I think they.
Not the wreckage management, I don't think. Oh, it is, huh?
It is according to this.
Wow,
You thought-
I didn't think we did that.
You thought record management was gonna come from, capital.
Yes, that was my understanding. I could be wrong, but I don't remember if we were going to borrow for the plow and sanders, and I guess maybe for the energy retro, but
Yeah.
all right.
Well, okay, Yeah, the records management does, it's kind of, I mean, it's a capital expense, but really, why would you want to pay for that over time?
And that was not what I thought we voted.
Yeah. Um,
And the energy retro,
mhm.
I forget what account that was going to come out of. That was kind of botched towards the end because we had to not do a building, wanted to add a building, and it got kind of messed up. But I
Yeah.
certainly don't remember the police records management. I wish Jerry was here because she knows too. So she'll better recollect than me maybe, but that was not slated to be borrowed.
Okay. Okay, so the first two you think weren't to be borrowed. And
I
again,
know the first one wasn't. The second I'm suspect. I can't remember.
right,
And I thought it was just simply to get the trucks.
right. The borrowing was gonna be the big items and the other two, because
Going to be
the,
covered by
Yeah.
certain kind of different accounts. We'd have to go back and look at what was on TV, but
okay, yeah, okay, so, do we wanna pass on making a motion on this until we investigate?
I think we need to investigate a little bit.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do too.
And again, it's kind of like, just, I think we had done it, but I'm just gonna, we had a joint meeting with capital planning, but I wanna at least get it out there. This building energy retrofit, it costs us money this year, but the energy savings for converting all of the lighting fixtures over to LEDs is gonna be a longer term, and the longer we use the fixtures, the more money we save, without doing it. So it's a short-term expense with long-term benefits for the town.
Is that
also
the
thought-
only retrofit we're doing?
On that particular one, there is a whole other building evaluation going on. And once those evaluations are done, the company is gonna come back with recommendations across all buildings, across the whole town. But this
So
one was,
do you know what buildings we're actually doing?
on this building energy retrofit,
Yeah,
I don't, I'd have to go back and look and see what
because I
was,
remember I thought one was the town hall. We were looking
Yeah.
into doing the harbor, one of the fire stations, but that got
Yeah.
shot down because it wouldn't, the payback wasn't there.
okay.
Yeah, I'll
there-
have to look back
yeah.
in notes.
Yeah, you're right. There was one the general, you probably approved the buildings that were 3.5 or 4-year payback.
Correct, yes, yes.
And then the ones that were longer than that, it was determined that you didn't want to, the cost savings wasn't enough. And,
Wasn't there, right.
and they weren't gonna pay back early enough. So, yeah. So
Correct.
from the initial list that was reported, it was kind of like there were a couple of drops. So I don't know exactly which one from this, but if there's, there could be questions about this at town meeting.
Yeah, and I just wanted, I really got to question the records management.
Right, I mean, that doesn't, that doesn't
We
say,
had we had the money in the account, from what I understand.
right, yeah, there's a capital budget.
Right.
Right, and I thought some of these were, 2 of these were coming from the capital.
Absolutely. Number one on our list was police, the records management, and it was definitely going to be covered.
Yeah.
Now we're borrowing it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it
I hope
doesn't,
that's a mistake, a typo.
right, so that could be, we'd have to see the motion and see if, there was just something that, missed in the warrant, kind of.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're looking at a precursor. Okay, Article 9, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 54B, to allow town trust funds to be invested in accordance with General Law 203C, the so-called prudent investor rule.
Well, I think that's a good idea because it broadens our horizon. It gives us more opportunities that we can take or not take. The thing
Yeah.
is that we have to be very dependent on the judgment of the treasurer.
Right, yeah, so in that case, and I know the auditor last year came in and said, we had there was opportunities at this point for different investments. And the description talks about the articles, allows the investment in, which allows for the broader range of investments that would otherwise be allowed from investments in savings banks. So, everybody knows what in savings banks, we're not getting very much on savings accounts and interest, but that would allow us to go to some instruments that are paying a higher interest rate and try to at least grow the funds rather than sitting there stagnant, just getting savings account interest on them. Where do we consider that a financial?
I'd say so.
Okay, then do we have a recommendation? I'm sorry, a motion to recommend this.
I move that we recommend the article.
I second it.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Any further questions or discussion?
Nope.
And we'll take a vote of a yes vote. We'll say we support this and recommend this article.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
And Don Hayes, yes. It's 4. It's 4. Okay. And I know now it says 7:02 on my computer screen. So,
How many we got left?
this, let's see. 2, 3. It looks like 3 more, and then it goes to general bylaws.
If we can get away with doing just 3, I'll stay.
Okay.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's kind of,
It
So-
just adds more for later, so.
yeah, it's kind of, and the game hasn't started yet. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the paid excess receipts account. And they're gonna turn us off on the Zoom if we don't do this. And I'm kidding. The paid access receipts reserved account for the sum of $87,708.21. Funds equal to 5% of Comcast gross annual revenues in Townsend for the first and second quarters of fiscal year 24. Subject to the receipt and availability, and authorize the Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator to expend and distribute said funds to Townsend Community Access Media, Inc. on a quarterly basis for the purpose of annual funding of the production and broadcast of public, educational, and government access television on terms contained in certain grant agreement between the Town of Townsend, Mass. And Townsend Community Access Media, effective September 15, 2020. Or take any other action. So this is taking the Comcast money and allocating it to support TCAM to continue to provide their services to the town.
I move that we recommend this article.
Okay,
I will
thank you.
second that.
Second.
Okay. And, okay, and any additional questions? This is standard one. We see it twice a year on the annual and a special in the fall. So, roll call vote, please.
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. Okay, scroll to Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, borrow, or transfer from free cash or other available funds in the treasury the sum of $5,000 or any other sum to defray the charges and expenses for planning and execution of the town's 300th anniversary celebration to be held in the year 2032, or take any other action.
I will make a motion that we recommend Article 11.
I'll second it.
I'll vote for it.
You're jumping ahead. Um, and, okay, so I'll let you, so Sam, you said you're gonna vote in favor of this.
Aye.
Okay, so the remainder of the roll call vote?
Andrea Wood, no.
Mark Hussey, yes.
And
You voted no last year too, didn't you, Andrea?
Yeah. We
I
got a
know.
tight budget. I just can't see.
I get it. I get it.
hmm,
Well, with all the other ways the money going out here, we need to do something to put it aside for the party that's coming up.
The
Yeah.
tea party.
yeah, Don Hayes, yes, so, understood, I mean, this money is there, it's just building and untouched at this point. It's so far, it's still 8 years out till we get there, so we'll see. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate borrow transfer from available funds in the treasury, the sum of $8,000 or any other sum for the purpose of funding the assessors FY25 periodic inspections and property data validation program mandated by the Mass Department of Revenue Bureau of Local Assessments.
We really don't have a choice here.
I know.
Yeah, this is a requirement, and much like the article with the elections, this is an amount that is there every year, but we vote it, and it has to be done, so it has to come from somewhere. It's not in the budget, and so this is the one-time expense kind of thing, and they pay it out of free cash, it looks like. Or the transfer, yeah, from available funds.
I
All right.
move that we recommend Article, is it? Well,
13? Oh, 12.
well,
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, and roll call vote,
Andrea Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes?
Mark Hussey, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. And, okay, so, okay, so I'm just gonna go, the rest of them say general bylaws, Article 13 is general bylaw, Article 14 is the scenic road bylaw, Article 15 is the noise control.
Didn't I see up near the top of that an $8,000 figure?
I think that's on the, well, let's see if I can find it.
Oh, 41 pages, huh?
Holy Moses.
Yeah, well, the budget takes up quite a bit.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Okay, so you, so there's a filing fee associated with the scenic roads bylaw.
Unique roads by.
Oh, okay. When you start getting into the noise control, you're putting fines first in each subsequent event. I'm not seeing anything about 8,000.
You never thought I'd see this.
Yeah.
Oh my good gosh.
You're taking me back to my working days when we used to make and test sound level meters.
Yeah, in a booth, for a booth.
Yeah, in a booth.
Not
Well,
for the city, not for
your
town.
brother knows best.
Yeah, I don't, the only thing I saw was fees associated with those. Article 16 is the outdoor lighting bylaw,
That's 100, 200.
and Yeah. Yeah, first and second, first offense is a warning, second is 100, third is 200, and fourth and subsequent is 300.
I don't know. I don't because it's in a part of that law, but it's really the law you're voting. I don't. I don't
Right.
think that's a financial thing. You could make a recommendation, I suppose, that the fees are too high or too low, but
Mhm.
they can
The
be
whole
set
thing's too
at whatever
crazy.
by the selectmen.
Yep, it's kind of like I'm looking at this and I see all sorts of things that I see when I buy light bulbs these days and new fixtures with LEDs.
Yeah.
These things that make you cringe and want to crawl under the table.
Cut sheets. We even got cut sheets. All right.
Yep, and kind of Article 17, the Affordable Housing Bylaw. Article 18, zoning.
You know, I find this kind of interesting that we're doing all these zoning things, which are town bylaws,
Yeah,
and yet we're going to hire a company
to integrate these into the full. Yeah,
to integrate or to see if they're right or I don't know. It seems like we're kind of putting the maybe he should review them before they go in place.
right. Yeah,
That's an
so,
idea. Right.
yeah,
Because then you have to just amend it after.
Yeah. But this is the way they have it, so I guess we have to
right.
really.
Yeah, these are like all the zoning bylaws that have taken place since the last bylaw was updated in pretty much in Article 20 deletion of it. So outdoor lighting provisions in the current zoning bylaw are replaced. This is deleting the existing ones and replacing it with what we have seen above. And here, Article 19, the fees for large-scale ground-mounted solar installation. So again, setting fees for those large-scale.
I know this is going to sound like a really ignorant question, and I hate to ask it because it may make me look so stupid. But
There are
zoning bylaws aren't town bylaws, right? I mean, they come under town bylaws, but I thought town bylaws were things like how close you could put things to the road, and, things like that.
Well, I think those are all considered zoning bylaws too. I think they're in that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I can interject, I can answer Andrea's questions. We've got two sets of bylaws, general bylaws and then the zoning bylaws.
Thank you.
And what they're doing with this change they want to make now is way back when they created a lighting bylaw that was half of it was for personal, like residential, and the other half was for industrial and commercial. And they made one of them a general bylaw and the other one a zoning bylaw.
Right.
So now they're putting them together and moving everything into a general bylaw.
thank you for that. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for the input. Kind of like, because I didn't have that, I just see a lot of the detail, like I say, and again, lighting has changed so much in the last few years, moving from the incandescents and mercury lightings and all those to the LEDs. It's been quite a change in the technologies, so it's good to update it. Okay, so that was the end. The only thing we really didn't hit is the big budget lines, which again are so, I guess, a little bit in flux until we know how the town is going to vote on some of the lines. I don't know that we have a balanced budget to present until we get to town meeting.
I thought that the other day he said we were still $1 million out.
Right. but,
Correct.
But I think that if it's I think it depends on what we vote on the school budget line and maybe how the solid waste or curbside pickup goes and how that's
So
gonna.
Okay,
If they vote the school budget in, that has to come out of what we were going to have for a balanced budget. Correct?
Yeah.
That's
Correct.
why I think the trash thing's going to be looked at, but I don't know. Well, that's a sore subject for the voters. You know, both of them are. So it'd be
well,
interesting how that.
you have a large retired community. I use trash pickup. I no
Oh, I do
longer
too.
use
We
the
all do.
school.
Yeah.
But I no longer use the school, so guess where my sympathies are gonna go?
Well, mine too. You know, unfortunately, and I do mean that, unfortunately, but
Yeah,
we
me
have to
too.
draw a line somewhere. All of us do,
Mhm.
for our own reasons. Anyways,
Yeah.
can I make a motion that we close if everybody's done? I'm certainly willing to hear anything else or whatever, but I'm a
I'll
little
second.
later than I was hoping to be.
Yeah, same here. It's kind of like, but, we did get through, so if you're ready, I will entertain that motion. You are certainly willing. I got 7:16 PM.
I'll second that.
We gotta get a motion first.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion. We close at 7:16.
We adjourn, okay, so the motion to
Adjourn, yeah.
adjourn 7:16
I
is.
second.
And second by Sam. And I guess at this point, roll call vote.
Andrea Wood, yes?
Dan Grant, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. We will stand adjourned. I thank you for the long session today.